Are some big roster decisions coming for the Chicago Bears? Based on where we're at in the calendar, the answer to that question is yes, and the Bears have actually already made one of those. We'll tell you who that is in just a moment. But Brad Biggs pointing out earlier today that saying that he would imagine there's a chance the Bears have roster moves in the next 48 hours. Timing of pre-combine veteran releases the last 3 years, DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett on February 21st. It's the 19th today. Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair, 2 years ago was on the 15th. And then Al-Quadin Muhammad, who ironically would actually be a decent free agent ad, was February 21st back in 2023 in terms of roster cuts. And then Biggs added this as well. He says if there's still work GM Ryan Poles wants to get through at the Combine next week, that could delay some roster moves. But he's always been mindful of treating players right. And if the team is going to release any veterans that they cannot trade, I'd think sooner rather than later. Well, right on cue for Brad Biggs. Fast forward a few hours, the Bears announced that they have released veteran linebacker and special teamer Aean Ogbongbemiga, who has been here the last 2 years, played on a one-year deal in 2024, signed a 2-year, just under $5 million deal before last season, and has been a core special teamer, but missed about half of last season with injuries and was quite frankly kind of an easy cut. He was one I was talking about, not a major money mover, but cap hit of almost $2.5 million. You save 2.1 by releasing him. I think that's a pretty easy decision. Obviously, a linebacker is a position that I think you're going to see some movement here. Obviously, Tremaine Edmunds is a strong cut candidate. Nothing there yet. That saves you $15 million. TJ Edwards had an up-and-down year, dealt with some injuries. He entered the offseason with an injury. Noah Sewell tore his Achilles. DeMarco Jackson's a free agent. So is Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I think one guy that this kind of sends a message to is Ruben Hippolyte. Like, come on, bro. If you can't play at least special teams next year, you're just not long for this world. Talking about the NFL, of course, not to be morbid, but if Ruben Hippolyte can't be at least a core special teamer and at least a reliable backup linebacker next year, then it's just not going to work. So I think that's a guy who needs a big offseason here, has the athletic profile to be good on special teams and at least contribute on this defense. But the Bears kind of make their first notable roster move of the offseason by cutting Aean Ogbongbemiga, a guy who's contributed a lot, especially on special teams the last 2 seasons. So he will be looking for a new home. This is why you subscribe. We're bringing you the latest Bears news, rumors, and updates every single day. We are so close to 158,000 subscribers. If you want daily Bears content, hit that subscribe button. Combine next week. Free agency less than a month away. Draft just over 2 months away. We're rocking. We're rolling. Roll with us here on Chicago Bears Now by subscribing. Okay, speaking of, is Tremaine Edmonds next up? Is he on the chopping block? Obviously, Tremaine Edmonds is a solid NFL football player. No one would say otherwise. He's not garbage. He's just not worth $17.4 million, which is what his current cap hit is set for next season. There's no guaranteed money left in his deal, and as we've discussed, if you cut him, you save $15 million. I quite frankly expect this move to take place any day. Now, maybe to Biggs' point, they're holding out a little bit. Maybe they can try to find a trade if they eat some of the cash flow to a linebacker-needy team. Maybe they would take on some of the cash if a team would take on the final year of his contract. You do see that sometimes, so you never know. Because, again, if Tremaine Edmonds gets cut, he would sign for a team for decent money. I would guess, I don't know, $8 to $10 million someone would pay Tremaine. So if a team wanted to do like a pick swap for him and then extend him to lower his cap hit, that is certainly a possibility. But I still think a cut is most likely, and I think other teams know that. The Bears are expected to cut him. Some other big-name cut candidates and what the savings would be. Cole Kmet, as we've discussed, I don't think that's very likely. I think given the way the Bears play football with their physicality, using multiple tight ends, he's still a reliable pass catcher, still only 26 years old. I expect him to be here. I think an extension is more likely to lower that cap hit of $11.6 million. DeAndre Swift, more on him in a second. I think he could be the one to watch. That could go either way. They'd save $7.5 million, but I'm comfortable with his cap hit for 2026. Jalen Johnson, you only save 6.5. Montez Sweat, you only save 6.9. So I would play those out this year because then you have more flexibility next year. If they play well, great. They're here in 2027. But if not, you can have more savings next year for those 2 players who are aging. So I think these 3 guys are likely safe. I think they will be back. So that brings us back to DeAndre Swift, who had a great year. we've talked about it. Over 1,300 yards. He was much better this season than last. He played with more physicality than in the past. Thought he showed better vision this year. I think was, throughout the course of the season, if you added it up, at times the most reliable player on this offense. But it is a position that, unless you have a special one, you can move off a guy without freaking out about it, right? If they cut DeAndre Swift, it's not like it would be a move that would just be earth-shattering and devastating. Why? Because there's always guys out there, and you already have one on your roster in Kyle Monangai who at least showed he can play a significant role in a rotation. That being said, I think Swift is in a position where they wouldn't cut him in the near future. What I do think could happen, especially if they're interested in a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker, if one of those guys were to hit the open market, they could try something like the Packers did a couple of years ago. No one expected Aaron Jones to get cut, or the expectation is that he would be back. And I think right now the expectation is that DeAndre Swift will be back in 2026. But like the Packers did when Josh Jacobs became available, they signed Jacobs, agreed to terms, then they cut Jones afterward. So I think you could enter free agency, cap compliant, be in a good spot. Hey, we're cool with Swift, Monangai, we'll roll with that. But if they could get a deal for Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker or someone they like for a not crazy deal, they could then afterwards say, hey, we've upgraded here. Let's now cut or trade DeAndre Swift to another team, clear the $7.5 million after we just signed player X to a $12 million per year contract. So I still think there's a world where they would cut DeAndre Swift. I don't think it would be right now. I think that would take place in that specific scenario. But again, Tremaine Edmunds is the one that I would expect to happen before free agency. Other than Tremaine Edmunds, who should the Bears cut? Do you want to cut Swift? They already cut Amen Ogbongbemiga. Another small name I think could be gone soon is Roschon Johnson. I don't think his future with this team is one that is very likely at all. So let me know who is a player you would like to see the Bears cut. Okay, today's show is sponsored by Marsman. Check out Marsman today and get 50% off with our link. I turned 33 this year, and I got to be honest, I was starting to feel it late last year, fellas. Most men start losing testosterone around age 30 and about 1% every year after that. When the new year hit, I kind of treated it like a reset. I wanted to feel energized again, not worn down, especially after a long football season. So this year I'm keeping it simple and doing something natural that supports my body where it needs it. That's why I'm taking Marsman. It helps your body unlock usable testosterone so you can feel like yourself once again. Marsman supports healthy T levels, energy, and stamina. It has 8 natural and clinically dosed ingredients, including zinc, boron, vitamin D, and more. Marsman is made in the United States and is third-party tested. You can also get a 90-day money-back guarantee. So there's no risk. Worst case, if you don't absolutely love it, you can get your money back. However, 91% of users report higher energy levels, so that's pretty unlikely. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Tell them we sent you. Bears Now by Chat Sports. Okay, some other news that dropped today. Jeff King has been promoted to assistant GM after Ian Cunningham left to take the Falcons general manager job. Not an upward move, of course, according to the NFL, but that's neither here nor there. But Jeff King, who's been around, he is now getting the promotion. He is Ryan Poles' number 2. Brad Biggs wrote this in the Tribune today about Jeff King's promotion, saying, behind the scenes, King was a trusted voice for Ben Johnson when the Bears were courting the coach last January. Johnson's agent, Chicago-based Rick Smith, represented King during his playing career, which was also included 3 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. So that's a little nugget I didn't know. I didn't know that Jeff King kind of played a notable role in getting Ben Johnson to Chicago. So that alone deserves a promotion. But I had also heard that Jeff King over the last year in some areas actually had a larger role than Ian Cunningham. I don't know if that's based on they were expecting Cunningham to be gone after this year, or if that's just King had earned more trust in the building. I think there could be a lot of reasons for that, but this was largely expected. No surprise here. I don't know if Jeff King's old role will now be someone else who gets promoted in the organization, or if they'll bring someone from the outside looking in. So I don't know the answer to that, but we do know that Jeff King is now the number 2 in the Bears front office pecking order. Okay, let's get to the latest on the stadium. Obviously, I did a full episode this morning on the Indiana, legislation passing unanimously, the Bears and Governor Mike Braun releasing their statements, all that stuff. If you want to get the specifics on that, subscribe and go watch that episode. But I do want to talk a little bit more because there's been a couple more informational things that have come out. And, can Illinois still pull this off? Can they keep the Bears in the state? Because clearly right now, at least publicly, the momentum is toward moving to the state of Indiana, somewhere in the Hammond area. So Brendan Moore tweeted this earlier, saying Governor Pritzker adds that Kevin Warren, quote, chose not to be in that meeting, close quote, yesterday, in which the team and state officials mostly agreed on a bill. The governor told the staff today that their statement, quote, was not some confirmation that they're moving to Indiana. And I think we know that part, right? Like, if it was confirmation, they would have done some joint statement, hey, we've signed a deal, we're moving to Indiana. That has not taken place. The statement was more of, we've made great progress with Indiana, the legislation is in a good spot, and they've been we've turned this into a great working relationship and look forward to continue to work with each other. That was essentially the nuts and bolts of that. That being said, it is put up or shut up time with Illinois. No more statements from the governor, and Bears as well. I'm tired of these Kevin Warren statements, and I think today is a signal from the Bears, the back and forth, we're just tired of it. We tried to get legislation passed over a year ago. You guys didn't take us seriously. Then we wanted to get it done in the fall. Kevin Warren's sitting in the booth during preseason games, making sales pitches to the city and to the state and all this stuff. And, today a meeting gets canceled. It's like, all right, well, Indiana's ready to play ball. In a couple of months, they got this passed. You guys over a year can't figure it out. So what are you going to do? That's kind of where this is at. What the hell are you going to do if you're Indiana or Illinois? Do you care? Even if you don't individually care, and I'm not going after one person, Pritzker or whoever, even if that individual person thinks bigger things are important in the state, which clearly, there's a lot of things that matter in society. You know what, though? People care about their sports teams. And the Chicago Bears are a charter franchise in the National Football League. They have been in the state of Illinois forever. It's bad enough that we can't figure out how to keep them in Chicago. You're going to lose them entirely? You're going to lose them to Indiana, who already has an NFL team? Figure it out. And if you don't, they're going to leave because I think the Bears have made that clear. They're not bluffing. They're not playing around. Kevin Warren said for over a year that the shovel will be in the ground in 2025, and that did not happen. He's probably embarrassed about that. George McCaskey is tired of sitting on his knees waiting for something to happen. So they're making something happen. And if it's not with Illinois, it's going to be with Indiana. Adam Hogue, who works for CHGO and does weekly hits on The Score and has been all over the stadium developments over this entire saga, so kudos to him, said this today on The Score. He said, it's not done, but it's close. They're at the half-yard line, and as long as they don't run any of those weird Matt Nagy shotgun runs, a little stray for Nagy, and failed to get in, this thing is heading toward Indiana. And I kind of made an analogy earlier. It's half-yard line, I didn't go that far, but Indiana's in the red zone, and they feel confident about the plays they're going to call next. And really, can Illinois pull an Iceman, get a big stop, and go win the game, right? Can they keep the Bears? It's advantage Indiana right now. I think the Bears want to stay in Illinois, and the reason I think that is because they could sign a deal today, but they haven't. And so I think they're going to give Illinois one more chance. Say, look, you guys saw the news. We have a deal in place. You playing ball or not? And if you're not, and if you don't bring this to a vote, and if a vote doesn't pass, we're not waiting for another legislative period. We're going. Because we've told our fan base for years now we're going to get a new stadium built, and you're not doing what we need to be done to make that happen. So, like I said, it's put up or shut up time. We're not going to be here in 2027 without an answer. I think we will know before summertime if the Bears are going to Indiana or if they are staying in Illinois. What do you guys think ends up happening? Where will the new Bears Stadium be, Indiana or Illinois? Sound off in the comments of this video. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much. A lot of news today. Stadium, Amen Ogbongbemiga cut, Jeff King. We're covering it all, so hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys soon.